Amy, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about your chapter in the Life Repurposed book, but even more importantly, to tell us a little bit more about your life story. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
So in your bio, you talk about loving adventure. So I'd like to know what's
Yes.
the most adventuresome thing you've done?
Oh, there are many. We really like to travel, and specifically, our favorite place to travel is Guatemala because we
Wow.
partner with the ministry there, and we have, over the last 13 years, made a lot of friends. And so every once in a while, we'll host a team, and then we'll send them home, and we'll stay for a little while longer. And so, and one of those weeks that we stayed, we actually hiked to the top of a volcano. And we got so much so, it was so hot that I melted the bottom of my shoes.
Oh my goodness.
We were even able to scoop some lava out and wait for it to harden and bring a rock home. So I don't know, it's just, I really enjoy experiencing the world and just seeing things that I never thought I'd get to see. So
That is more adventure than I've experienced.
that's
You
awesome.
are a radio personality, I understand.
I am.
Yeah. So how did you get started in that?
You know what? I've been through a lot of interesting things in the last couple of years in my life. And I've always been a writer, but I love to write for myself. And so I would write in my journal. And I just started feeling like the Lord was putting on my heart, it's time to share your words. Like, you've walked through this valley, you've learned things about my character. You know, you've learned so many things about me, and it's just time to talk about it. And my husband was also very much a driving force in that, saying, start sharing the things that you're writing. So I kind of started small, and I started writing in a blog every once in a while and then posting it out to Facebook. And some of my friends started reading it and sharing it. And my pastor started reading it. He speaks on the radio. And he called me one day and he said, I come up with so much content all the time because I'm speaking and I have sermons and I'm speaking on the radio. And he said, tonight I just used one of your blog post topics and I rolled with it. And so I was like, okay, why are you telling me this? He said, I got a lot of messages after I spoke about what you wrote about. And so I'm thinking, okay, are you saying you want to read my blog on the radio? That's going to be a little weird. And he said, no, I want you to speak on the radio. I think that your perspective and your voice is something that we'd like to have. So it took off from there.
And how long have you been doing that?
Only 6 weeks. So it's
Oh,
a brand
wow.
new venture in my life. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's been really good for me. So
So you mentioned that you just were also getting started writing, and you have a chapter in the Life Repurposed book where you
yes.
tell your story in an artistic way. I'm not going to give it away because I you have to read even the first couple paragraphs of the chapter, and then you start to understand that Amy has painted a word picture of her story. But one of the things that I get from that chapter is that you've gone through some rough things in your life. Tell me about a challenge that you've gone through that has helped you to trust God more deeply.
Well, just recently, all of this began about 3 years ago. Our family was started going through a huge transition. So we were switching jobs, we were moving across the country, and there was just a lot of chaos going on.
Mm.
I felt like we were just starting to get settled in our new place, and we were really excited about it. And we went off on a vacation. Well, while I was on that vacation, I injured my knee, and I came home just thinking like, okay, I need to recover. It kept getting worse and worse. And so I went to the doctor and they said, just need to rest it, this and that, not a big deal. And this injury just persisted. It just
Mm.
would not go away. And so actually for 8 months, I was just in a lot of severe pain,
Wow.
just going from doctor to doctor, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I had gone from being very active active. I told you about hiking the volcano and just all of
Mhm.
those things that I love to do. I was a Pilates instructor, everything. I did everything with my body. And here all of a sudden, I'm struggling to walk.
Wow.
Um, so I found a specialist in the city, and he is the one that reconstructs knees for the football teams and things of that nature. So I thought, okay, he's going to fix this. He said, I know what needs to be done. And I had a surgery. Well, after the surgery, I was not recovering well and actually continuing to get worse. So, through a long stream of events and lots of hospital visits and things of that nature, I was diagnosed with a neurological condition called CRPS, which is basically it's called the suicide disease. And it's
Mm.
just a chronic regional pain that doesn't make sense that spreads throughout the body and disables you as it goes. And so it
Wow.
was kind of was like a switch flipped in my mind. Suddenly, I went from doing whatever I wanted to do to realizing that my life was never going to be the same again. So,
Yeah, that's heavy because especially from someone who loves adventure, who's raising active kids and
yeah.
wanting to be part of their life. So, how did you cope then? What things have you done that have helped you to trust God through this process?
At first, I really fell apart. I just remember coming home that day after that diagnosis and just laying on the couch, and it was almost like a video reel was playing in my mind. I was literally seeing all of these things that I had imagined for my future, like even my kids' weddings and dancing,
Mm,
like weird things I never thought would be on the radar. I just started thinking of all the things that I probably had just taken for granted that I would do and thinking like, I don't even know what a year will look like. I don't even know what 2 years out, like, what is this going to do? And I knew that I trusted in the Lord. I know
mhm.
I have a history of seeing him work, but I think it came down to that moment, like, I'm used to doing everything on my own strength. I'm very self-sufficient, and what does life look like when I can't depend on myself? Um, but I had a really good support system and some people who really spoke a lot of truth to me, and I think the big thing was just let me be really honest in my insecurities and in my fears. My husband is probably the biggest one, like, just every day consistent, taking care of what needed to be done. He would always remind me. So for a year, I was pretty much stuck on my couch. If I wanted to go anywhere, he had to help me get there. He had to bring everything to me, and he would say, "Okay, what are we thankful for today? Your life still has purpose, Amy. Like, what's your purpose
Yeah.
today?" And just reminding me of those things was such an was a huge blessing, and I think it helped me live through that time when I just felt like, I don't know what's coming, and the doctors are saying this is only going to get worse. It's really easy for me to tell other people about the grace and the love that God has, but I think when it's come to my own life, I feel like I have to work for that or prove it or earn it, and just learning to rest in that, like, even if I have nothing to offer, I am so loved.
Mm.
And I don't know why that's a struggle. That sounds like something that we should be really excited about, but I think it's just so ingrained in me to perform and to show and just to be whoever I think you should think I am instead of just being me. So that's been a huge thing for me.
Together. How has that unfolded for you as a mom?
I I think that I put a lot of stock in the way people think about us, the way they see our family, the
Mm.
way that they see our children. I know when I had my first daughter, it mattered to me so much that she was in the matching outfit and her hair was done just right, and that she was, really good and obedient. And I wasn't going to be like that mom in the grocery store whose kids are melting down. And the crazy thing is that she was the first baby, and she was like that. Like, she's just really chill kid and really easy. So that almost made me worse. Like, I'm killing it. this is easy. And then I'm just looking at like, how is this so hard for you? Child number 2 completely undid that. I was just praying for God's mercy in my life, for sure. And by the time that I got to number 3, I mean, we're just like, hey, do you have clothes on? Are you in the back seat? Like, we're good. We have to go. Um, but yeah, that does matter a lot. And being a mom, I want to be this certain person. I want them to have these memories of me. I want to be perfect. I guess that's really what it comes down to. And I really can't. And that's the thing when I was hit with this physical issue, thinking, man, I can't be this mom that I wanted to be. I can't be this person that I wanted to be. And suddenly I felt like so much of my value got stripped away just from
Mhm,
this physical injury. And I don't want my value to lay in things that could be stripped away in one day, in one diagnosis. And I think
mhm.
that this process has been crazy. There's been some very dark moments. But if anything, it's taught me that that is not where my value is. My value is not in what you see.
Yeah. Doing in your life. What is the newest thing that he's doing now? Like, where is he leading you? You sense any new direction?
I think that the biggest thing that he's taught me over the years as I've gone through, and I have gone through a lot of treatments and a lot of therapies that have brought me to a much better place than I was in 2 years ago.
Mm,
So I still have a lot of physical limitations. I can't do the things that I used to do. Um, but I also am able to walk. I'm not
mhm,
in pain 24 hours a day, and I'm so thankful for that.
mhm,
But I do feel that this time has brought such new direction, and just that what I want the contribution of my life to be is not the things that I earned and proved, but what God has done in my life. And I
mhm,
don't want to waste. My favorite verse is in Isaiah 45:3, where God talks about the treasures that you find in the dark. And I didn't even know that
mm.
verse existed until I went through
No.
all of this. And I feel like I've found some treasures in the dark. And I've learned some things about the character of God. And I've just found this love that He has for me. And I don't want to step out of that darkness into the light and jump back into dependence on myself. I
Mm.
just want to live in that. And I just want to walk with other people who are going through and just say, I see you, and God sees you, He hears you, and He cares. And just
And where can we find you on the internet?
my blog is titled Go Let Go, and it's at goletgo.org.
What words of wisdom can you leave us with?
I think that all of us are walking through similar experiences, and your life may not mirror mine in having a physical disability, but there's probably moments when you feel like you're going through the valley and maybe you're just face down in the dust and you feel like you
Mhm.
can't take one more step. And just in that moment, that God is there just with His hand out, just saying, I want to be your strength. I love you. You don't have to be good enough. Like, He has a plan for each of our days, and it doesn't have to be perfect. That we can just trust Him and we can get up. Life isn't going to be what we have imagined it to be, but it can be really good. And there's just so much hope for us.